All right, so this is an email that I got from a YouTuber that I follow. His name is Elliot Hulse. I just thought that this was a perfect example of what you're trying to do here. So this is called the Dirty Kitchen Mindset for Success, and the email goes: one of my favorite success quotes is from Dan Kennedy. It says, "Success is cooked up in a dirty kitchen." The dirty kitchen is the place where experimentation happens, where ingredients are being mixed, where heat is being applied to elements, and where good old creative success is cooked up. When you're in the dirty kitchen, you're not following the recipe or cutting corners. You're putting your heart and soul into creating something new. When I started strength camp, training people in city parks with trash, I was in a dirty kitchen. When I began uploading ugly, unedited YouTube videos, I was in a dirty kitchen. When I started holding live events and traveling the world teaching men how to grow stronger, I was in a dirty kitchen. For you, the dirty kitchen represents taking chances, being courageous, and adding something new to your business, relationships, strength gains, and life mastery. Each new idea, each new piece of advice, each new aha awakening I see the light moment in your life is like a new ingredient to keep cooking up more success in the dirty kitchen of your life.
You guys, so you can see I put this together last night, so I've got a bunch of notes here because I like to do this. This is fun for me. So this is today's stuff I'm going to go over.
Okay.
So I'm going to commit to taking time to find new stuff for us to work on and go from there. So, absolutely. All right, so let's start. So first I want to introduce myself because I know we know each other a little bit, but not that well. So my family's owned the business since '09, and I came in 2012, so it's been about 6 years if my math is right. And I started doing deliveries, and that was it. So I drove the packages to the guys, dropped it off, and that was it. And then as I needed to get a job and make some money, I came in and I started learning how to do the operations. So I wasn't doing sales, I wasn't talking to customers, I was just kind of helping the jobs get from the front to the back. I wasn't putting any stuff in the computer, but I was learning the process of how the flow works from the front to the back. And then from there, I started to learn and get into that. And we had our people doing the computers and the designers and stuff, but then I kind of started doing the management of the office. So I was kind of ordering paper. So kind of starting from the bottom, getting into the management and overseeing just the operations, making sure everything worked. And then after that, we had our accountant retired, and we didn't really want to fill another full-time position with someone that was just doing numbers, and we kind of found out that she wasn't busy all the time. So I thought, well, I might as well learn. So the computer does all the math, so it's just a matter of knowing where to put the numbers and what to do. So I started doing the management and the bookkeeping and the accounting. So I started to learn the numbers of the business and the profits and the losses and all that stuff. So I started to get a really good knowledge. And then we realized that our sales were what we needed to boost up. So then I said, well, I guess I could try to do some sales. So I literally started with no knowledge, no idea, no coaches. We weren't even AlphaGraphics, so we didn't have the AlphaGraphics model. We had nothing. And I was like, well, I guess we'll figure it out. And I was scared to talk on the phone. I was nervous to go into an office, and I had no skills at all. But just from repetition, going over, losing out, looking like an idiot and all that stuff, I eventually got a little better. So my first month of sales, I had $700. So that's like 2 small orders, so almost nothing. But now I'm averaging about 30 to 40,000 a month, and that was in about 2 years' time that this has kind of taken place. And my best month so far has been 70,000. Nice. So that's just from 2 years. And the other thing to keep in mind is that's my part-time deal. So I think if I've figured it out along the way, I've learned, so I'm going to share that with you. But the other thing is I wanted to say all the stuff that we're going to learn, it's not my ideas because I'm not accomplished enough to put what I think on you guys, but all the stuff that I'm going to teach you is stuff that I've learned from the top of the top. So I spend my time studying and learning, And I don't just read like a blog post from anybody that makes a blog post, but I go to the top and I find the best guys and I learn their strategies, and then I practice them and put them into action. And if they work for us, I've kept them going. And if they haven't worked, I've dropped them off. So everything that's worked for me to get me from $700 to $70,000 in a month, I'm gonna try and give to you guys. And then the goal is, as we get bigger and better, we're gonna hire some new guys, and then maybe you guys can pass on your information to the next round, and they can do the name and go out from the, what would be like the base of the pyramid, I guess you could say. So if that sounds good, that's kind of what I envision for us. We'll start at learn in the trenches here, and then we can train some new guys as we get better, and we'll kind of control our own teams as we grow.
For sure.
But first we gotta get the three of us working as a team. So again, I want to say we want to work as a team, as a unit. So it's sure we're competitive and we want to be better than each other. But at the same time, if you need someone to go take care of a sale for you, or if I need, we're going to help each other out. And if it benefits Marcus a little more than us, but we help him out. We're a team, so it's good for everybody. And we'll try and do that the same for everyone. And then I was thinking, like I said earlier, I'd like to document all of our stuff on social. So it's going to be a little bit rough and awkward, and maybe, probably for sure no one's going to watch it, so it's going to be just for us. But if you never know, there's that one day where someone sees it and they're like, oh wow, and then they share it, and the next thing you know, you've got maybe 1,000 people watching it, and they're learning. And then all of a sudden we have people, oh man, I need to talk to these guys. I'm in San Antonio, they're doing printing. I like their attitude, their style. Why is our business not connected with theirs?
For sure.
So I think that's something that we can try and aim for and go for. And then so over the next couple weeks, we'll develop some targets and some goals, so we have some objectives, so we're not just sitting in here with no direction or wondering where we're going, but we're going to have like a number that we're confident with, that we're comfortable with, that we can say, let's try and get to that number in our sales targets. But of course, we're going to have to do a lot of training, because we got to learn how to not just make a sale, but we got to get the job produced and printed. So we've got to do a lot of learning there, which is going to be part of it. So it's going to start slow, but as we get comfortable, we're gonna move up quick, I think. Okay, so the first lesson, my first lesson or thing that I learned that's been really helpful for me is called the strategy of preeminence. Okay, and there's a guy named Jay Abraham, and what he's done, he's been doing it for about 30 years, and he's worked with the top companies, and he comes in and he transforms them, and he just brings out all of the extra ways to make money that they didn't see, just because you have that third eye that's looking in. And he's been in about 70 different industries, so he's seen it, everything from left to right, all the different stuff. And the nice thing is, since we're all pretty new in here, we don't really have any bad habits like people that have been selling for 20-30 years, and they kind of are stuck in their ways. So I thought this would be a good one to start with. And Dylan touched on it yesterday. I was showing him the paper sizes like I showed you. And he's like, well, what should I try and sell them? Should I try and sell them maybe the more expensive one instead of the cheaper one? But what we're going to do, so from this moment forward, we're going to see ourselves as the client's most trusted advisor. So we're not necessarily just going to be salesmen selling a product, a printing piece of business card, a piece of paper, but we're actually going to put ourselves in the position to help our clients get the most out of what we're offering that they can. So let's say we want to be their advisor, their counsel, and their confidant. So anything that printing, marketing, design, or signs, if they have a question, even if they're not buying anything, they can ask us, and we're going to give them a fair, true answer that's going to be valuable to them. Even if it doesn't necessarily make a sale, we're still going to be there to help them. So thinking back to when you guys went into those other shops earlier, did they kind of want to help you and help you grow your business, or were they just kind of there to make a transaction, and if you guys need to take a sale, they take your money?
Because they never even asked for the sale. They kind of just...
They were
1,000 cards here.
Going through the motions, right?
Yeah.
So I think, the simplest way to put it is we want to be like the definitive experts, the most trusted advisors in the printing, marketing, design, and sign space. So we're going to position ourselves as we are the guys. Ask us if you need a question, if you want to know what you should do in these areas. We're going to take the time to learn ourselves, because we need to know what we're telling people, make sure it's true. But we're going to let people know that we're the guys to come to talk to if you need to grow your business in any of those areas, or start marketing, or do some printing. So I think that's a good way, thinking with the experience you guys had. If you would have went in there and they said, oh, well, you're starting this new startup, we really should get you guys doing this and that because it's going to help you grow in this way instead of just what do you want.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be, and when the people come in the door and they realize that we're doing that, why would they go to one of those places you guys are at? So it's just going to make it a lot easier for them to come back to us, I think. So that's called basically the strategy of preeminence. When you become the advisor and the partner of the clients, and I wanted to touch on that because we're going to call everybody clients, even if the guys out front or even Tony, he calls them customers. The difference that Jay says is a customer, if you look in the dictionary, it's someone who's doing a transaction with a business, whereas a client is somebody that actually needs to get advisory stuff, and it's a little more personal. It's a more important experience than being a customer. You're actually someone's client, so they're going to feel more valued and treated a little better. So between the three of us, I still do it myself, but if I call someone a customer, I think, oh yeah, they're our client instead of our customer. So use that word if you can. So he also says that it's amazing how many people in companies they'll say whatever it takes just to get that one-time sale or just to get that. I mean, they might do something a little underhanded just so they can get some money from a one-time transaction. But even if the first time we make a little less money, but they get really happy and they're stoked about what they got from us, then they're gonna naturally want to come back, even if it didn't maybe benefit us directly the most off the beginning. In the big picture, the macro, the long run, we should get a lot more business and repeat business out of it because they're gonna realize that we're the guys to come to. Instead of making that one big sale where we kind of ripped them off, sold them more than they needed, we actually helped them out, so they're probably gonna come back when they need something else. So the ultimate rule is that we'll never let our clients purchase less than they need, and we'll never talk them into purchasing something more than they need. So let's say an example I thought of, if you have a lawyer coming in and he's like, hey, I want to have a cool image, I want to look great, we're not going to sell him a cheap, simple 14-point UV coated business card. We might show him the 16-point silk or the 3X business card, because that's what he wants, and we want to get him what he wants so he does the impression that he wants. But where if someone like a plumber comes in and they're like, hey, I just want something cheap, but I want to hand out I'm going to a few different events and I want to hand stuff out, we'll say, well, we could get you these really nice ones. I know you kind of want those, but for what you're doing, what your purpose is, if you're going to all these trade shows, why don't we sell you 5,000 of the 14-point UV cards? We'll make sure that your phone number, your services are big, easy for people to read so they know exactly what you do. And then those are going to go a lot longer way than if you got some fancy cards, but they're not going to fill the purpose that you really needed them for. So by doing that, we're being their advisor and we're kind of pointing them in the right direction to what's going to help them with why they're in our shop and what they're doing here in the first place. So I think if we do that, it'll just help us stand out, and people are going to come back time after time. So if we really apply the strategy of preeminence whenever we're dealing with a client, and our main focus is to help them in any way possible and accomplish their goals, desires, and outcomes with our services and products, I really don't see how any other competitors are going to get ahead of us when they're just trying to maximize profit or get a one-time sale. So just when you think about that today, when we're talking to people, think about how can we help them more than help them necessarily us.
For sure.
All right, so that's the strategy of preeminence. Yes, sir.
Can I just for one?
Not right now, just give us 2 minutes.
Okay.
We're almost done.
I just need you to proof these cards so I can get them going to Robert.
We'll get them. So, you guys have any questions about that? Does it seem to make sense?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay, so I figured that we'd start with that because that's the mindset that we want to go forward with from day one. So if we can partner with people and help them realize that we're going to do what we can to help them more than us, I don't see why we can't be the ultimate choice for everybody.
I think we're naturally like that too, so I think
so
that's
too.
that's really good. So
Yep. So that's just, I don't know if you've ever heard that philosophy before, but I don't know, when you were doing door-to-door sales, was that the point, was to help people? Or
well, I mean,
or was it more just to kind of
well,
get
with
what
like
you can?
ADT, I mean, we didn't want to put all the companies out there, but yeah, with like that type of sales, even like direct TV type sales, they want you to, what the thing is, even with retention, they want you to cut it. So we say, hey, look, we'll give you, this 12 months for for $50.99, and then the next bill hits on the next year and it's triple. You know what I mean? So
and you don't really tell them. I mean, you tell them it, but you don't make it obvious.
exactly.
I mean, because I did it too. It's told, but you're giving them like you're reading them the Constitution, and by the time you get to that point to where it's like, yeah, it's $99.99 for the first year, but then after that first year, they're already like, you've already been rambling so long that they completely missed what you just said.
Right.
So
I think if you think about it from that perspective, and then we flip it, we're a small company, so it works for them, but they're huge. So if they lose a couple customers here, that doesn't matter. But for us, customer retention is the most important thing because you guys know it's easier or cheaper to keep your customers or to get one back than to go out and get new ones. So when you guys do get a new one, it's our job to keep them as long as possible. And we're gonna go over the numbers where I know the lifetime value of a client. So
For sure.
I have worked the numbers where I know that when you get a new customer, we can expect average that they're gonna spend X amount of money over X amount of years. So that's something to know. So if you're gonna say, let's just for example, let's say they're gonna spend $10,000 over the next 2 years on average. So if you take 3 weeks or 4 weeks of your time and maybe you spend $100 or $300 to get them, in the long run, if they're gonna spend 10 grand in the big picture, we can afford to give up a little bit to get that. So
For sure.
something to think about. So that was my meeting for this morning.
Okay.
That's all I've got to say.
and that was Jay Abraham.
Yeah, so he's a big time. He's a little old school, but he's helped. They call him the $1 billion man because he's generated multi-billions. Yeah, he's generated multi-billions of dollars for several industries, and he wasn't just pigeonholed in one.
For sure.
And just another interesting thing I'm thinking of, he said that working in all these different businesses, people do what they've learned from the people that were here before them. So I kind of said we're going to do that, but because we're starting from the bottom. But he said he realized that when he was in, say, the automotive industry, and they had a marketing campaign that was working really well, and then he went to the printing industry. He said the printing industry had no idea what the automotive industry was doing for marketing, but if they would have actually took a few minutes and learned what they were doing and applied it in the printing industry, they would have seen some amazing results. But everybody's so stuck in their own industry, they don't care to learn about what other industries are doing that might benefit them. So if you guys see something or you know something from your past experience and you're like, well, why don't we do that here?
For sure.
Then let's bring it up and talk about it and see if we can do that.
That's actually, I just read a book, 0 to 1. Have you ever heard about that?
I think I've heard of it. I think I've heard of
The
it.
guy who invented PayPal. So,
Peter Thiel, yeah. I know him,
Peter Thiel. Well, he's I think he's in trouble right now or something
Okay.
like that. I think there's some stuff going on with him, but he wrote this book, and it's kind of like what you did. You know, you kind of reinvented, the business, the paper with everything with this business with Presto going into AlphaGraphics because he talks about. One of his first prime examples is Mark Zuckerberg. Obviously, they had an idea, and that idea was a standstill at 0, and it just stayed. But his idea was to make it worldwide and to make it everybody connected. And so he made a leap. So that's 0 to 1 with PayPal. He did the same thing. He said everybody was doing transactions with checks, different ways. But what I wanted to do was make a jump and make it so different and just make it easier for people. And so he made a jump that was 0 to 1. There's a lot more analogies in it, and it's really, really good. But it incorporates a lot to this business, so I like it a lot. It's really
I like this team too. We're obviously young, and we not necessarily grew up with this technology that's making everything so easier to, but. We're not too young or we're not too old to not know how to work without it. So it's almost like we know how to do the old school way, but we also have this technology to where we've kind of been like that experiment group with it. It's kind of just been thrown to us, and it's whether we sink or swim with it or not.
And I think you'll find too, if you try and find anything social media about printing, it doesn't really exist because everybody's in the industry is a little bit older. So if we can be the guys that are like the leaders in social media printing,
for sure.
Even if we can take orders from anywhere.
For sure.
So if some people are seeing us online and they're like, oh man, they can order from us
for sure.
from Florida and we can ship it to them.
For sure.
So if we kind of take that lead and are the only ones on social media doing printing, usually when you're the first, the best. Right?
So
And we're international. I mean, you're
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
you're from
Canada,
Canada. I know
yeah.
you've got connects up there.
Yeah,
You've
absolutely.
been from all over the world. Same here.
Yeah.
Military. I know people in like Florida, Virginia,
Absolutely.
California who have their own little businesses too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't see no reason why we shouldn't have multiple accounts coming from all over the place, especially if we're gonna be doing this and then broadcasting it, and all we have to do is hey, check out our business, our sales meetings, and watch what we're doing, and
Yep.
all it takes
For
is just
sure.
everybody-
Now you just have to remember patience because
Yeah.
none of this is gonna happen fast.
Of
so
course,
we
absolutely.
can't expect next week that we're gonna be selling
For sure.
10 grand.
Yes, we
We're
can.
gonna-
Yes, we
we're gonna
can.
have all these people reaching out to us,
Yeah.
but we gotta work on it day at a time.
for sure.
And it grows as it grows. So
For sure.
okay, that's our first meeting.
Let's do it.
So I think Tony has to get your business cards approved so we can get those set up.
Awesome.